in Prabhupāda's selected verses. Who's learning all those? In Prabhupāda's selected verses, there's only two there from the chapter of the Rasa Lila. The Rasa Lila chapter, I think, is 33. And first one is about educating the audience about how Krishna, it's not an ordinary situation, because Shukadeva Goswami could detect that there are people in the audience that weren't pure devotees, and they had some doubts about Krishna dancing with the gopīs. So the first verse starts with a D. Dharma vyatikramo drishva ishvaranam shasahasam teji asam nadoshaya ane sarva bhujo yata. So just like a fire, it's so powerful that it can burn anything to ashes, and it doesn't become affected itself. If you think about it, fire, it's superior to all the other objects because it burns them, and then it's still fire. It doesn't become contaminated. So he said, in the same way, dharma vyatikramo, vyatikrama means if Krishna, as the powerful controller, seems to violate more regular terms of morality, dharma, what's called dharma vyatikramo drishva, if you see that, ishvaranam chasahasam, if you see that in some controller who's controlling the world, then you should also know, just like fire's never contaminated, so the controller's never contaminated either. And the second verse that Prabhupada, the most quoted verses, there's only two out of that whole chapter, is vikrīḍitaṁ vraja-vadhūbhir cha viṣṇoḥ, idaṁ cha viṣṇoḥ, śraddhānvito nuśṛṇuyād atha varṇayed, bhaktiṁ parāṁ bhagavati pratilabhya kāmaṁ, hṛd-rogam apahinoty acireṇa dhīra. That the topics of Krishna, especially his consorting with the gopīs of Vṛndāvan, has so much spiritual potency that śraddhānvito nuśṛṇuyād, if somebody faithfully hears them, if they have the context and they understand the other verse, then such a person very quickly, acireṇa dhīra, that person becomes dhīra. He's unaffected by the material world anymore, which is interesting because it's a love story. But by hearing that story, then one becomes immune to the so-called love story of the material world that everyone's affected by. Everyone's overtaken by Cupid in the material world. Nobody can get out of it. It's too powerful. But the potency of Krishna Katha is such, if one hears that and understands Krishna's position, Dharma vyatikramo drishva ishvaranam chasasan, he's the Ishvara. He's like fire. He can't be contaminated. So what is that taking place there? If one could understand that topic, then acireṇa dhīra, very quickly one becomes sober and not affected by the material world. What to speak of? Bhaktiṁ parāṁ bhagavati pratilabhya kāmaṁ. He attains the highest level of bhakti and overcomes the dread disease of the heart, which is kāma, the lust of the material world. What do you think?
That's very powerful.
It's very interesting because if you look at the selected verses throughout the 10th canto, and there's some, you can gain something by seeing which ones Prabhupada quoted the most, and which topic he was on, what was his thread when you go through. But I just noted that those are the two from the Rasa Lila chapter. You could have quoted something more rasika on a regular basis, but he gave these verses that give context so that one could enter into them properly. Any other realizations or thoughts? Yeah.
I remember Prabhupada said that you actually need to go through the entire Bhagavatam, all the preceding chapters, in order to understand the 10th canto in context. In specific, he would always mention the Krishna's pastime with the gopīs, because a lot of people want to go straight there, and then they miss the whole context of the rest of the Bhagavatam.
That's right. Yes, mentioned. Yes.
I was just reflecting back on the morning Japa session today, Maharaj. I felt that there was like a pulsating energy. I mean, this is like after a long time I've come for Mangalarti, and it was really uplifting for me. I could feel that pulsating energy, and I felt that if somebody held the funnel at the top of the temple and all the sound floated into that funnel and he listened to it, maybe his ears will completely blow away by that
Maybe we
energy.
should do that. We could have a little funnel and put it in bottles and we can sell it. And the chapter where Krishna meets the gopis, not the rasa dance, the verse there, kāmaṁ krodam bhayam sneham aikam suridam evacha nityo haro vidatato yanti huh?
Yanti
tan mayatam hite, which means that if somebody has some emotion, kāmaṁ, lust, krodam, anger, bhayam, fear, sneham, affection, aikya means a sense of oneness or universality, suridam, some sense of friendship, evacha, etc. Nityam harau vidatato yanti te yanti tan mayatam hite. Such a person through those means can remember Krishna. If those emotions are expressed ordinarily, they're just the emotion of a bewildered person in the material world. But if they're connected to Krishna, then one can attain perfection of life. But in the purport, you read all the commentaries?
Yeah.
In the purport, Madhvacharya says that this is not, the kāmaṁ of the gopis, not some ordinary kāma. One has to also have context there. It's not that just say any ordinary person has lust and then they attain the position of the gopis. But the gopis, he wants to point out, and he does point out in several verses, are exalted sages and those who have ascended, or if they're already nitya siddha at a very high context. Nonetheless, the point is there that by coming in contact with Krishna through any of the emotions that one might have in a worldly emotions one might have, then one can also become purified.
There is one verse I like that goes along with this. It's in 7th canto. They give examples for all these. It's gopya kāmad bhayat kamso dvesha chetya leonipa sambandhad vṛṣṇuyād snehad yūyam bhaktya vayam. So like all the different emotions that you can relate to Krishna, from that verse is given in this. So gopya kāmad, the gopis attain Krishna by kama, or their love. Bhayat kamsa attain Krishna by fearing him. Shishupal, he had envy towards Krishna, enmity. Sambandhad vṛṣṇuyād snehad, the Vrishnis had sambandh, they had a relation with Krishna. Sambandhad vṛṣṇuyād snehad yūyam. And this is also interesting because Shukadeva Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. So he says, and all of you, like he's talking because Parikshit Maharaj is from the Pandavas. He's saying, all of you guys, you had Sambandhad vṛṣṇuyād snehad, you had affection for him. And then Vayam Vibhava, and all of us, like all the sages, we had bhakti. And so that's how we attain Krishna. And so when this verse, it goes very nicely with this one that we're doing.
And quote one more verse that goes very nicely with, from the Brahma Samhita, that fits in those other two. Who quote a verse that's parallel from Brahma Samhita? Go ahead.
Like the same, all different kind of emotion, whether krodha, kāma, like anger, fear, lust, pranaya, or like a conjugal relationship, anything can be reposed in the Krishna is the reservoir of all the rasas. Or parental affection, vatsalya, moha.
It could be Krishna reciprocates all of those things.
That sort of reminds me how like when Krishna was in Kamsa's wrestling like arena, like all the different people saw him in different ways, like the sages.
I know the verse. Malana. Yeah, it's another example. Happy Janmashtami. Hare Krishna.
I had a reflection.
Okay.
From
Go ahead.
today's Mangal Aarti, I felt another type of energy, which I haven't felt in any other Mangal Aartis I've been in. I was thinking about the lecture you gave last youth jam about you can offer obeisances in your mind, and then I forgot his name, but this Bhakt was cooking khichdi for Krishna, and then he burned his finger in his mind, and then he burned it in real life. So I felt that same affection when I was chanting today, and I felt like a cow with Krishna licked my face, and my face was kind of a little damp today.
Anyway, it's sweet rice. You burnt the sweet rice. Very nice reflection. Hare Krishna. Guru Puja is at 7:50. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Krishna gives mercy by coming to this world in his human-like form. Vajate Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Deham Astita Vikrīḍitaṁ. Because vikrīḍa, he does his activities. And after that, yashuddha, then there's something to hear about. Otherwise, there's nothing to hear about in this material world except for a cricket match. And that's just a bunch of grown men running around with a stick hit trying to hit a ball. Or whatever that thing is. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare. Where'd that fancy gimbal go?
We're still trying to test
Find
it
the right
out.
thing?
Yeah.
Collect the prize. Krishna Krishna.